I have to regretfully wait because I was listening to you on headphones and I got to stop down your live podcast so I can actually get that. Okay, here we are.
All right.
Here's my question and sorry if I'm sounding muffled. I listen to you while I'm trying to get work done in the evening. Around the house, the honeydew list.
Honeydew list, big. Yeah. I always thought honeydew was a melon, and then I found out it's a list.
Mine has a...
Oh, James, you disappeared. Honeydew got him. Now, I know it's not my connection tonight, by the way, folks. We tested the connection, so, these guys that are doing 3 things around the house at the same time, it's just the way it is. He's about to tell me something profound, I'm sure. Really, nobody actually has Ebola. It's just a lie. It's just a government conspiracy to get everybody fearful. And I, in fact, have been hired by the government to get you fearful. And I think, that's my job, is to keep you all afraid. Right? I get this. I've gotten so much feedback in the last 2 weeks about what a fearmonger I am and how I'm just whipping people up. And let me read one to you here. What a terrible person I am. We have the advantage of science and information. You're trafficking in misinformation and pseudoscience. And audiences like yours, I think she's talking about you guys, by the way, and Rush Limbaugh and others like you are going to end up being more dangerous than this virus will ever be in this country as we lash out at innocent West African immigrants based on our say-so. This is getting out of hand. Carl. That's me. I'm Carl. I'm not mocking it, really. I understand the sentiment of it. I do understand the sentiment. And I'm not for beating up a foreigner. In fact, I would dare say I probably wouldn't touch a foreigner at this point unless they bleed on me, spit on me, or exhale viral particles in my vicinity. So anybody that takes this as an opportunity to beat up on foreigners obviously doesn't understand the basis of disease transmission, let alone Ebola, even by the official version of the CDC. The official version, I still wouldn't altercate with the foreigner. Wouldn't fornicate with the foreigner either. So anyhow, I don't know what happened to James there. Don't know. But I'm taking my prerogative. I'm wrapping my show up. I was telling you about Putin probably getting ready for combating Ebola with his troops and getting things ready. I think they're getting things ready. I heard the mayor of London, of course, was saying, get ready for some Ebola in London. Probably going to happen there. What's going to happen? Okay, so it's a summary. What's the cap you should take out of tonight's show? Okay? In a month from now, we can replay this and you guys can grade me on it. In the next couple months, Africa will continue to burn with Ebola. And as it continues to burn, more and more people fleeing that ship will land on our shores, carrying the infection with them. Not because they're bad people, not because they want to, but because they're scared as anybody else, and we have the world's best medical system, despite what you've been told. And it wasn't Obamacare that made it the world's best medical system. The Cubans claim to have a better medical system, and I hope Michael Moore eventually goes down there and gets some surgery on his big fat tushy. Really, I do. Somehow I suspect Michael Moore doesn't go to Cuba to get his medical care. Just saying. But what will happen is as these people flee to our country, did anybody notice it took 50 people to treat the Dallas Ebola patient and shut down a 24-bed wing? If we have 150 Ebola patients in America, it will take, think about it, right? 50 doctors and nurses at each location. What is that? 7,500 doctors and nurses, right? Shut down 50 wings of hospitals. Shut down 150 wings of hospitals times 20 beds apiece. So that's 3,000 beds out of service. And still risk nurses contracting Ebola, doctors contracting Ebola, the people who must dispose of the infectious waste contracting Ebola, The people in their neighborhoods. By the way, the CDC was not checking up. Remember? Turns out this nurse was taking her own temperature. Remember, CDC is on it. We're following up with everybody daily. They weren't even following up with the healthcare workers. Now, I know you can probably trust them. You can probably trust them. Probably trust them. Thank you, CDC. Our protocols are sound. Therefore, our protocols must have been breached in order for something bad to have happened. That's what they're saying. James, what are you saying here, James? You trying to get back on? James hung up on me. Did you hang up on me on purpose? James? All right. Well, you're banned. You can never call again until Wednesday. Anyhow, we'll be back Wednesday at 8 o'clock, and I'm not going to talk about Ebola, I swear, unless 2 more cases surface. And I'm going to leave that open. It has to be at least one has to be domestic and one has to be foreign. If it's just 2 domestic cases or 2 foreign cases, I won't bring it up again, I promise. All right, you're on the air, my friend. Can you hear me?
So my band.
Okay, no, I unbanned you, all right, because you called back. What happened? Did your wife make you get off the phone? James?
Yes, I'm here. I had to shut down your podcast. I got to do both from a smartphone. I can't listen separately.
He's like an old lady.
What was the last thing you heard from me before I was so rude and hung up on you?
The last thing I heard was, Carl, this is the greatest show I've ever listened to. It's an honor to be on the air, and you were about to say something else.
Sorry, I got to take off my boots. Stay up to my knees on that one. No, for the record, awesome. Keep it up. Love it. Pragmatic all the way. Hey,
thank you.
Since I don't know, my question was, now I'm not listening with earbuds or anything, is the CDC says that you can't catch it airborne.
Right.
You and I both know when we're around someone, at least with a cold or flu or something. Yeah. Those droplets are going out in the air.
Not me. I used the back of my hand. I used the back of my hand to catch most of it.
Does anybody out there know what their definition of airborne is? Because I'm just thinking when you're coughing and sneezing, you're getting little microscopic blood stuff and everything out in the air.
Well, the CDC in their own protocols advises that people cleaning up Ebola and other things not use forced air products lest they create droplets that become suspended in the air. And you're right, sneezes are, in fact, just go Google like slow motion, high speed camera sneeze. And just watch somebody spray 14 feet of phlegm through the air that, a high speed camera can catch.
It's the same thing. When you talked about when you talked about how much manpower it took with the hospital, I actually caught that part trying to get on real quick again. I can't help but wonder. I mean, also, have you heard much about when they say that, do you know if they were treating, or does anybody out there listening know if they were treating these people in negative pressure rooms so that they were making sure that the air was, in theory, being clean, scrubbed, whatever?
The answer to that is very few negative pressure rooms exist for infectious disease. And for the listener out there who doesn't know what a negative pressure room is, it basically means that they suck the air out of the room so that no air flows out of the room. It only comes into the room and goes out through a controlled environment. It's kind of the opposite of a toll booth, which is a positive pressure environment so that your exhaust fumes aren't blowing into the toll booth all day long while the person's in there. So the air is always seeping out of the toll booth because they're forcing air in. The short answer is very few hospitals have very many of those, 1 or 2 rooms per major hospital. Many hospitals that are outfitted for multi-infectious diseases do, in fact, have more than one. But the reality is the CDC, of course, has said, well, we don't need negative pressure rooms to treat for Ebola because it's not airborne. That's part of their protocol. They've said that. So it's not airborne, therefore we don't have to have a negative pressure room. Again, I don't know.
How many people out there listening, if they were anywhere near a hospital where a Ebola patient was, would want to go in without wearing a nice sturdy mask, even though they know they're 5 floors away in an isolated wing?
Correct. It's a huge public problem, which is why the government would lie to you, right? Why create mass panic? Why create big problems when a series of little lies, or at least if we don't really know the answer, just sort of playing it off a certain way is just good public crowd control. I mean, the government lied to Congress about whether they were eavesdropping on anybody. The government lied to the Supreme Court about whether the NSA was eavesdropping on anybody. But everybody out there believes that the government's telling them the truth about Ebola, and that any of us who question it are just, rabble-rousing, fear-mongering, horrible human beings. And to anybody who claims, I don't know anything about the biology of Ebola, call me up. Just get on the air and let's talk bio. Let's just talk bio in general. I'll give you a couple questions. You field them. I'll give me a couple questions. I'll field them. We'll let the audience decide if I have any grasp of biology, microbiology, virology, human anatomy, cellular mechanics. You guys can decide. That's fine. But call me up and ask me those questions if you think you know more than I do. If you're, one of those people that, like Al Gore, who knows all about global warming because you're a climatologist, I'd love to talk to you. Anyhow, James, thank you for calling in. You're not really banned, but you're welcome to call again on Wednesday.
Take care, Carl. I'll be at work, hopefully.
Thank you. Yes, go to work.
Bye-bye. Pay for someone else who gets it and needs treated.
Well, get ready to pay the Ebola bill. It's going to be a big bill, my friend. And by the way, get ready to pay the Eric Fine bill. Don't hang up yet, James. Listen to this. I have heard that some of the state troopers up there are getting 50, 60 hours of overtime a week. Now think about that. It's mentally insane, right? The Eric Fine bill, when the state police present it to the state eventually, watch their budget. They're going to come to the legislature and they're going to need a couple extra $1 million in overtime for what they've spent hunting this guy. Now, they tell me they have him contained, right? That's what I read in the news. But then I drive down the turnpike and they have a picture of him on the turnpike telling me I need to be on the lookout for him. So is he contained or should I be on the lookout for him? I'm just confused.
I'm waiting for a picture to show up where all you see is some tropical background with a smile on his face looking at it, being sent on the airways saying, still looking for my diapers and food.
Right. I'm not rooting for him in any way, shape, or form, but I'm also not convinced that the Pennsylvania State Police are the unit for searching large areas of the forest. Yeah.
I always wondered, you got to figure the hunters are already being hampered right now with,
right,
archery out. And you had brought up the point a couple shows or something ago about, hey, why don't we just do the hunters, do it for free and say, hey, anybody that gets them,
yeah, well, bonus.
Hey, we'll offer a $5,000 reward. There'd be a lot of hunters that want to hunt and hunt.
Right.
Might save us taxpayers a little bit more money.
Well, right, and of course they'll never quite allow that. I've also heard a rumor. That the police have been told not to kill him, that he is to be taken alive because some politicians up there want to prosecute him, which I don't blame them for. But I really just think they should let the state police shoot him. But that's just me.
I have a feeling there's enough archers out there that could really easily put some stuff right around the kneecaps or just above in the thigh, so he ain't going anywhere.
Yeah. As we all know, an arrow to the leg is not an ideal way to take down the big game, but in fact, it is an ideal way to slow them down and make them very catchable. All right, my friend, thank you very much. I just wanted to mention the fine situation because I just thought it was fascinating that I've been told that this continues on, that the state police have an unrelenting intent to catch him, which I don't blame them for. But at the same time, the budget be damned, and that there's going to be a line item being presented to the legislature at some point to say, here it is. And, of course, you see the Corbett has sort of said, well, we're not too worried about all the dirty emails the state police commissioner got because he's busy. He's busy now.
My best advice for the legislator is to just do this. 3 years from now, when they're still spending all the money looking for him, if we haven't caught the son of a bitch, maybe they can just treat it like a pension. That way the cost really isn't ever realized.
All right. You can just push it off forever. By the way, let's just talk about that before I go, because that's one of the things we should probably focus on maybe for Wednesday's show. Again, as long as no more than 2 people. But if I get one from out of the country and one CONUS, then I'm definitely back